Hey, this is Seth with In-Demand Career. I show people how to get life-changing jobs in digital marketing with no previous experience or education. And that includes my very special guest today, Brendan, who had graduated college and did not know what to do with his life until he found my course. He hustled and studied very hard and got his first entry-level digital marketing job doing PPC and SEO, making about $40,000 a year last year. And then he leveled up and got his current job where he's making $64,000 a year in a hybrid role in Brooklyn. And I was able to move to Brooklyn and be around a lot of his friends from college. He is very happy with his life and his career. I'm very excited to share his story with you. Thanks for being here, Brendan.
Hey Seth, how you doing? Happy to be here too.
Awesome. Now, why don't you tell people a little about your current job that you have right now?
Sure. So I'm a search marketing analyst for an agency here in New York. I work in Manhattan, but and basically I'm managing Google and Bing ads for a large financial company to try and just get them as many new accounts as possible for investing accounts.
That's fantastic. And I know you said you probably can't mention what the company is, but what kind of budgets are you working with?
Yeah, so we're working with eight figures a year budgets.
That's pretty amazing, especially so
Yeah,
early in your career. And is it a fully remote job or hybrid or in-office job?
it's a hybrid role.
So, like, how often are you in
Oh, yeah,
the
3 days in office, 2 days remote.
cool? And what's it like working at that kind of job?
It's pretty amazing. Even just like working any days remote is like such a big difference, especially here because the commutes are a little bit crazy. If you're in like a smaller town, then like it's like a 5 to 10 minute commute. But when you're in a big city, it's pretty amazing to skip like the 45 minute to an hour commute any day of the week that you choose.
That's for sure. I know. I remember I lived in LA and New York. LA, I would sometimes take an hour and a half to go like 5 miles. And in New York, you're probably on the subway.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, it sounds like very exciting. We're going to get more into the actual job. But of course, people always want to know, well, how did you get here? You're somewhat recent college graduate. You're 24 years
Mhm.
old. What was going on in your life when you first found my digital marketing course?
Sure. So I had just graduated from college. I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. I had graduated with a degree in pharmacology and toxicology. Totally fell out of love with it. Thought what I was interested in the first 2, 3 years of college would be what I'd be doing for the rest of my life and that I would love it. And that turned out to not be the case. And I was living at home with my parents with no job. And I just felt like such a burden. Like I just wanted to get out of the house like as soon as possible. And basically I stumbled upon, I think it was the Shane Hummus video. It was a YouTube video with you about your course. And I pretty quickly, within a few days, signed up and just got to work.
Awesome, man. Yeah, we've all been there, man. So many. I can't think of too many people that graduate college and get right into a great job because there's just unless you've
Yeah.
majored in accounting or something relevant,
Yep.
so common.
Those
I
are
I was in the same situation, when I was in my 20s. Um, okay, so you got the course, and then what happened?
I did not do what your advice was. I did not take it slow. I went crazy. I was maybe spending 12 hours a day on the course. It was insane. And I got through it in like 2 weeks. And I know that like I wouldn't recommend that to anyone else, but that is what I did because when I'm really determined, I'm just like kind of like a workhorse on things. I finished the course in like 2 to 3 weeks and then I just started firing out applications, like hundreds of applications. Um, yeah. And then I ended up getting a job in under 2 months from the day I bought the course.
That's awesome, man. No, that's fantastic. Everybody has, the advice I give in the course is it's designed to be general. It's for
Yeah,
I have a lot of different people in the course. I have people who are old, who are young, who move,
right.
move fast, who move slow. And so I've noticed like, my advice to people is to take it at your own pace. Um,
Yeah.
but I think especially if you just came out of college, if you're motivated and you have all that energy,
And
then
unemployed.
yeah, and you're unemployed, binge. I tell people you can
Yeah.
binge Netflix show. I was thinking like people binge these shows. Like, I just binged a series with my girlfriend. I think we watched The White Lotus like last month.
I just binged it 2 days ago.
Because
That's bizarre.
they
Season one
shot
and two, both of them.
they shot season 3 here, right here on this island where I'm living. We
Oh,
actually
really?
saw
Oh, yeah, the new season's in Thailand.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why we started watching. But anyway, we binged that thing. And I was thinking, how many hours do we spend watching the White Lotus or something on Netflix? Hours and hours and hours. So it is possible with the course, you can do the same thing. I mean, you can get through 30 or 40 hours. I think I said something like Stranger Things is like 40 hours or something like that. Each season is like 40 hours. You can get through the course very, very quickly if you're that motivated. At the same time, it depends on your personality type. Because some people
Hmm.
that's going to be exciting and they're going to get really motivated, and other people it's going to be overwhelming and they're going to burn out. So you have to know your own
Yeah.
personality. But it is possible also to do what you did, which is then get a job within 2 months. And I also try to tell people that you want to have the expectation that it's going to take 6 months so that you give
Yeah.
yourself that time. But if you hustle like you did, it can happen a lot faster. So, okay, so let's like dig into that. What happened? Like you're firing out applications and like, look, tell me about the interviews. First of all, you didn't get hired
Oh
as
my God.
job that you applied to. What were the interviews like?
Oh, the first couple were just awful. They were absolutely horrible. By the way, even my second round, getting my second job, a lot of those interviews were pretty bad. But you basically like as you get into a rhythm of doing them more and more and just accepting that it might not go well, if you just go into it thinking like this might be horrible, that's fine, nothing's gonna happen. They're not just gonna like they're not gonna send it out to the internet and like everyone's gonna see it. Like it's just you and them, and they're gonna forget about you and go on to the next person. Then that is when I started doing well. Basically, when I stopped caring, because I would go into them like having like a heart attack, like yeah, like hi, I'm Brendan, and just like be super timid. But as soon as I stopped caring and I was just like more free flowing about everything, and I started going into what I had learned and sharing the like account structure from the spreadsheet in the course, like that's when things started going well.
That's it. That's how it works, guys.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's glad you said that. Everybody needs to understand that it's like I say, it's like dating or acting or anything. You're going to have bad auditions. You're going to have bad dates. You're going to have bad interviews. It's part of the process. Any good salesman, you actually look forward to getting a no because that will lead to a yes. Hold on one second. Somebody is mowing the lawn. I need to.
Okay.
And when you say, the interviews went really awful, like, do you think you're being overly critical of yourself, or like, usually that's the case. I mean, most people, the interviewer is not gonna. It's very hard unless you're like out of the movie Step Brothers, where you're like, making fun of the interviewer. It's hard for them to they're not like, oh, that guy was terrible, but they might just be like, well, he wasn't that qualified, or he wasn't. Do you think you're being a little too harsh on yourself looking back?
Maybe there's one interview in particular that sticks out in my mind that I know that I did really poorly on, but for the most part, probably I was probably just like overanalyzing it. Um,
What happened in that interview? It's fun if you don't mind
okay,
sharing. It's okay because
okay,
everybody's experiencing this, guys. I had an interview once where they asked me to list like 7 strengths and 7 weaknesses or something like that.
yeah,
And I just kept going with the weaknesses. Like, I don't know
okay.
what the heck happened to me. I was like, I'm a hard worker. I don't think that, and like, but and I was like, I don't like deadlines, da da da. I hate
Mhm.
work or something. I said all this dumb stuff afterwards. I was like, why did I say that? Like, I just couldn't stop
Yeah,
listing weaknesses. So everybody's had these experiences. What
yeah,
if you want
okay,
to share it, or, it's fine.
sure. So this was for a second job. I went down for an in-person interview in New York, and it was with Isaac Rudansky in
Oh,
his office.
Isaac, if people don't know, he's a pretty big name in like PPC. He has a big agency and he's just had a few courses, things like that online.
Yeah. And basically, like things were going pretty okay, for the most part, but I had to prepare a presentation. And and I started the presentation and things were going okay. And then I don't know what happened in the middle of it. I had like a panic attack. And I just started like stumbling over all of my words in the middle of the presentation. And he was like so nice about it. But it was like I don't know what happened. I was just like so nervous. And like that was
Mhm.
also my first in-person interview that I'd had. All my other interviews had been remote.
Oh,
So it was like Like it was
That
like
makes sense.
yeah,
That makes
stimulation
sense, man.
overload or
Yeah, and also, I mean, if you know this guy, if you're once you get into the course and you learn about PPC, if it's somebody
yeah,
notoriety that you're interviewing with, imagine you'd be a little bit nervous. But in
yeah, that was a big part of it.
yeah, in person, very different. But I appreciate you sharing it. I mean, again, these things have happened to all of us. I like to share it to, again, people watching who are in the course or thinking of taking the course. So you take that pressure off yourself. And like one of my favorite things, I like to kind of expand on this. You know, I'm a huge fan of stand-up comedy. And one of the things I love is stand-up comics will brag about when they bomb. Like if
Mhm.
they have a bad show, if the audience hates them, if they get booed, they will try to one up each other about how much worse they did. And I think that's a great attitude to have. I mean, you have to be as a stand-up comic because you have to have really thick skin. But it's fun to see them having fun with it because you can take that approach to an interview. You're not going to try to bomb the interview, but it takes the pressure off. And you'd be like, yeah, you know, oh, I screwed up this one and that one, and it's not a big deal. And then it just keeps you in that mindset where you're moving forward because obviously that didn't end your career. You just didn't get that job, and then
Mhm.
you got your current job.
Yeah.
So anyway, going back to your first job, now why don't you tell us about the interview that led to the first job that you got?
Yeah, the first job was just one really long interview. And basically he just sort of looked at he just seemed like he had my resume on hand and sort of was just he got to know me first and then was just sort of quizzing me to make sure like that I knew every single thing that I had put on my resume, which I did because I had spent so much time like studying and doing the course. And honestly, I can't remember like bullet for bullet exactly what it was, but everything, if you use your template, everything that you're going to put on your resume, you will have spent by then a ton of time reviewing. And so I was able to answer pretty much every question like and nail it.
That's awesome. And what had you done for generating your experience? Had you like run some ads for yourself, or did you get like a small local
Yep.
client?
Just for myself. So I at that point in time, I was like really into bodybuilding. And so I made a website and it was basically like I sent ads to the page that was like, I will send you like a workout plan. Um, if you get like to get, I, sorry, stumbling over my words. Basically they had to just give me their email and I would send them like a workout plan and a schedule. And I got like I got a bunch of people that signed up for it just from like one ugly page that I made myself. But yeah,
That's
that
incredible.
was my experience.
That's it, guys. I show you that in the course. I actually, it's funny because I use Kyan as an example, one of my older students who also had, I think he also did a bodybuilding website, which is kind of funny. That's a great
Yeah.
market. You know, people are very motivated. And again, you don't have to have a huge client. You just need to get hands-on experience with a real website, even if it's your own website, capturing a lead. That's what we call it. Again, most marketing students come out of four-year degree program never even heard of this concept, but this is how all online business works. You've done it yourself. You have put your email address into a website, which allows the company to then advertise to you. And you did that. You ran ads. You got people's emails addresses, and then you shared that limited experience, but you owned it. You were confident about it.
Mhm.
And then what happened? Like, how did the actual hiring happen at this job?
I just got an email with an offer and I was like, this was the first one I got. And I was like, I'm moving to Syracuse. I just went because I've really, first of all, one thing like that I learned from the course is that I really loved it and I was really interested in it. So I was like, I'm willing to move wherever for the course. I was young, didn't have any like connections anywhere. So I just took the first offer I was given.
That's great. And by the way, just for context, you live in Buffalo, New York, which is actually
Yeah,
an hour from where I grew up in Rochester, and then Syracuse is an hour from Rochester. It was like 2 hours from your home,
yes.
right? 2 hours to go to Syracuse. And I do get recommended guys. I say, look, man, especially college age. I mean, most people don't think twice about moving across the country for college, where they can go into debt and learn nothing. But if you
Yeah.
move for your first job, you're getting paid to actually learn and get experience. But what did it feel like to get, you know, after being unemployed and living with your parents, like what did it, you know, feel like to get a job, and like what happened when you told your parents? How did that go?
Oh my God. They were so excited. And honestly, it was the biggest weight off of my shoulders. Even during college, like my parents paid for my college. I'm super lucky that I didn't have any student loan debt. Um, but even like during college, and then really felt this right after college, I just felt like I was a burden, and I just wanted to like be responsible for myself and be like an adult. And that was what I felt. It was amazing.
That's that's great, man. And yeah, it's very common. I felt the same way, 20 years ago, or I don't know, was it 20 years ago? Yeah, 20 years ago so more than 30 years ago ish, 25 years ago when I graduated college.
Yeah.
Uh, and my parents had helped, I had student loans and I had gotten some scholarships and stuff, but I remember that pressure of like, oh my God, I've just been like not working for 20 years of my life.
Hmm.
Now I feel so much, I felt guilty, I was like, I got
Hmm.
to do something. Um, and that's why I feel great when I can help someone like you who actually take that energy and your intelligence and channel it into this career path. Okay, so you got hired, you moved to Syracuse. What was it like working at this job? You've never worked in this field before. What was the first job like?
Yeah, so this was also pretty different, I think, from other people. There wasn't really like a ton of training. I sort of taught myself a lot of the things, and but basically I was slowly onboarded more. I started with like one or two accounts, and then once he knew that I could handle those, then I was slowly given more and more and more accounts. And eventually I was handling like over 20 accounts. Um, like, well, a lot of the organic and paid overlapped, so probably like 30 if you count those individually. But yeah,
And what kind of, I think you had said, what kind of accounts were these? And we say organic and
right.
paid, guys, we're talking about SEO, which is search engine optimization and making changes to a client's website and offsite things like link building to try to get the client's websites to rank higher in the Google natural organic search results. And then Google Ads, which is the main thing I focus on in the course, which is the paid ads that you see. Anytime you do a Google search, you're going to see those ads. That's where this is Google's billion-dollar empire is based on people clicking those ads. So you were running ads and doing organic for what kind of businesses?
Right. So it was a lot of like local service businesses, a lot of like construction, roofing, gutters, just a lot of small local businesses. And basically they're all like lead generation businesses. So that was the only goal. It was just getting them as many leads as possible.
That's fantastic. And how did you like it? I mean, this was a in-person job, right? And you had moved to
Yeah.
a new city. Like, what was it like? Did you enjoy it?
So one thing I learned kind of quickly is I loved doing PPC. It was so fun, and that I was not a huge fan of the organic side. I just like the data is more clear. Um, but anyway, I don't have to get into my preference, but I that's sort of what I love PPC, and I could definitely do without it. SEO, which is why I transitioned to my current role.
And that's cool, guys. When you take the course, everybody has their own preference, and it's great because I say like, because some people come in and they're like, well, which one should I do? And I said, well, you got to try both because you're just not going to know. It's
Yeah.
like trying sports when you're a kid. You got to figure out which one you like. Some people feel the same way they love SEO. They don't really like
Mhm.
PPC, and it's to each his own. But PPC is a great skill set. And so you're working at this job, and like, how long did you work at this job before you started to, want to level up and move on to another position?
Like a year, around a year. Yeah, leave it there.
And then how did you start looking for the next job? Did you just say, okay, I've been here a year, or did the recruiters reach out to you, or what happened?
Ton of recruiters reached out. Actually, funny story. My current job, um, I applied for it, got rejected, and a recruiter reached out, and I ended up getting the job.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think I got like whatever the automated resume, whatever it is. I think I got like auto rejected, and then a recruiter reached out, and I got this job.
That is great. And that's great to hear, guys. I tell you, there's many different paths people have to success. And again, you might apply in one way and then someone reaches out in another way. Again, when you have that experience on your LinkedIn, I mean, you're obviously at an agency at the job you had. That's also very compelling. You're doing lead generation. Okay, so you applied for that job. You didn't, get an interview. what happened when the recruiter reached out to you? Walk us through that, how you got this second job.
Yeah, basically the recruiter reached out with a job that I had just been rejected for. I didn't tell her that, but she was like, "Hey, your experience looks great. We'd love to have a chat with you about a job here at our agency." And I just shot over the resume. Basically just a quick chat. Um, and then a lot of rounds of like introductory interviews. This job I had a lot more interviews for, but it was totally worth it in the end. I absolutely love my agency that I work at now. Like they're amazing.
That's awesome. And so what was it like? What were they asking you in the interviews? Was it more personality stuff, or were they giving you any kind of skills tests?
Yeah, so it sort of differed from interview to interview. So the ones at the beginning were more personality and culture focused. And then the later rounds were more so, what are you doing? What would you do if an account was for X? And basically, like, they just want to see how you think about
Right.
things. Like, they give you a scenario and ask you what you would do. And there's no
Yeah,
right or wrong answer. They just want to know how you think.
absolutely. Yeah, that's how it goes. And then, how did you get the offer? Was it a phone call, an email? How did that work?
It was, I just got an email in the morning saying, um, are you free at noon? We want to call you with some good news. And my heart just like stopped, and I was so excited. And then I got the phone. I was so happy that they did it the old fashioned way and gave me a phone call too. That was like the coolest way to hear the news. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I answered the phone. They said I got the job, and I, I was so excited.
That's awesome, man. And the pay is a lot more than your previous job. And did you have to
It
negotiate
is.
for that, or they just offer you 64?
They offered me more than I even asked for in the interviews. Yeah, I just asked for 60, and they just offered me 64.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really, guys, again, this is a year into your career and you're making 64K. And so this is just the very beginning. And now you have a job where you're working on eight-figure budgets for big brands. So now
Mhm.
in a year, whether you get a raise or you decide to level up to another company, it's just, your earning power is just going to keep going up. And
Yeah.
you're working hybrid now, but you could, I think, as your experience grows, you're going to have more options to have more, remote work if that's what you want. But it sounded to me like you really love living in Brooklyn.
I love this sounds crazy, but like on the days that I go in, I love the commute, like walking in Manhattan in the morning. It's it just like wakes me up, and I just feel like I just I feel like alive. But then like it's also nice to not have to do that and just roll out of bed and turn on my computer. So and I get to choose which days I do that. So
Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's fantastic. And at this different job, you said, say now you went from working with small local clients to an eight-figure
yeah,
client. Did you get some training and support, more training and support at this job?
tons, tons, a lot of support. And basically like anything that I'm even remotely feel uncomfortable with, I will tell my manager, and she will like set up an hour call with me to go over whatever I want to go over. And I have a bunch of like free courses through the agency that they already have purchased, like at an agency level. I have so much support. It's crazy.
That's awesome, man. And what did your family think of you moving to New York and this new job and everything?
Oh, my dad is so excited. My mom is terrified. She's not a city lady.
Yeah.
But
I tell this joke because I went to college in New York and my mom said to me, like, don't make eye contact with people.
yeah,
And
I'm getting that all the time.
and then as a joke, like then my aunt and uncle who live on Long Island, we had dinner together and wasn't making eye contact with them. Like, why aren't you looking at us? They said, don't make eye
Yeah.
contact.
Oh, that's what mom told me.
Said with strangers. Don't make eye
Yeah.
contact with strangers.
Yeah. So my mom said, she said, don't take the subway. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Subway,
They
dude,
don't, they
guys.
don't.
You guys, I get into my old person. Like I grew up in the 90s, but it was the 70s is when, I actually remember when I was a little kid in the early 80s going to New York with my family. I remember that smelled terrible. And back then,
Yeah.
the city really was dangerous, like the subway, Times Square. And then the 90s, they cleaned it up. And I'm like, by the time I was in college there, I was like, it's a city. You can't be stupid, but it's so much safer than like, I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of other international cities that are not as safe as New
Yeah.
York. So
I
I
think
think
there's
you're
even
okay.
American cities that aren't as
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah. Yeah. But especially at your age, 24, to be in New York is like super exciting. I loved my time
Yeah.
in my early 20s. And yeah, man, and you got your whole career ahead of you. So congratulations. And thanks for sharing your story with everybody. Is it okay if people have any questions after watching the interview, if they reach out to you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, 100%. Ask me whatever you want.
Awesome. I will put the link to his LinkedIn under the video. Yeah, man. And then, we're going to wrap this up, but is there anything you want to say to me or anybody watching the interview before we wrap it up?
Yeah, basically get comfortable with rejection because if you can't do that, you're not going to make it through the course. Like you're just going to be discouraged. It only takes one. It literally takes one person or one company saying yes. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well said. That's not just in this course, it's in life. It's in life. It's like
Yep.
any career, any dream, any project. If you want to be a YouTuber, you want to be start your own business, you do have to learn to accept and embrace rejection. I think the most successful people are the ones that can most easily deal with that. But as you said, it only takes one person or one company or one client to make a huge difference. And you
Yep.
see it, here with Brandon. So anyway, man, I'm super happy for you. I think it's really awesome, and I'm excited to see where you take your career from here. Anything else you want to say before we end the interview?
I don't think so. Thank you so much for making the course. It changed my life.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. All right, man. It's been great chatting with you. We will stay in touch, and maybe we'll do a follow-up interview as your career unfolds.
Perfect. Sounds good.